Okay.
I think maybe the best is downloading that.
Okay.
Downloading the
Yeah.
that's the least.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, some people are. I think we should give it a couple minutes just because the elevator was being slow.
Yeah, sure.
Right. How's everyone doing? Great. Exciting. Okay.
You just don't have any friends yet? And then like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Even for me. Yeah, right, exactly. Was the elevator still like really slow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. More. I'll give it a couple more minutes. I'll wait till like this installs. I think there's only like 25 or 30 people yesterday, so there should be at least 15.
Yeah.
It'd be very surprising. So I know there's like 3 people that can't come to either of them, but I'm working with them. Oh, really? Oh, for sure. That's cool. That's awesome. Oh, snap. Oh, that's sick. Okay. Oh, geez. Sorry, guys. Full screen.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Success.
Perfect.
Done.
Yes, that's being all slow though. Okay. Well, geez, I don't want to waste everyone's time. All right, I'll begin, guys. Welcome, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. I want to introduce myself again. I'm Carson. I'm the president of Georgetown Creators, I guess. I'll be co-writing with you guys and helping you lead through this awesome adventure. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a great time. I think we're all gonna produce really great products. It's really excited to like get it going. Just some things I want to review before we begin. You all went to the onboarding session, I assume, so you got everything downloaded. That's great. We want to make sure that a couple things, basically like some tips we have before. Hold on, let me respond to this. Before we begin the year, first of all, we want you to there's 2 things that really makes like a successful author, and I've worked with like 2 rounds of authors, and I've seen this done well. I don't know where that went, but what the 2 things that really make people do well are being proactive, number 1, which means basically whenever we tell you to do something, what's up? Come on in. No, you're good. We just got started, so it's good. There's 2 things that make successful authors, right? Being proactive, okay? So whenever we say that there's like a writing milestone due or you have interviews coming out, don't put those at the last minute. You'll have your best interviews and your most effective interviews the more you plan ahead and like schedule and stuff, right? And the next is stay organized. We gave you some great tools already, like the stories index, the interview dashboard, the research dashboard, and we really want you to try and use those to the best of your advantage because the most successful authors use those well. So I think, all right, great, she found the link. I think we're gonna start off. Could you guys mute your microphones, please? Here, I'll do it for you. Okay. All right. So who's still? Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's why it's important to mute. Anyways, so we'll start with some introductions. Well, I know we have a live session going on too for Georgetown authors, and then a non-live session going on the projector. That's why I'm looking up like this. But we'll begin by doing an introduction. I'll start, and then I'll start calling out people on the Zoom chat, and then we'll do our live introductions. So I'll begin. We're going to do name, year, what school you go to, and your book topic you're thinking about doing. So my name's Carson. I'm a sophomore. I go to the business school at Georgetown, and my book topic is I'm thinking about doing. I need to nuance it a little bit, but I'm going to probably do undergraduates that go into startups, and then from there go into creating their own startup. I'm thinking about calling it The Leap. I gotta do some more research, but I'm really excited about it. I think it'll be great. So we'll start by, I'm just gonna do who's in the order on my screen. We'll go Randy first. So I guess unmute yourself. No, okay. Randy might not be paying attention. We'll go with Kenna.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Kenna Chick. I am a junior in the SFS studying culture and politics, and I'm going to be writing about mental health and the role that peer support plays, and I'll probably be writing my own curriculum for peer support work that I already do.
Great. Next, we'll go with Anya. Okay. Anya.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm a senior in the SFS, majoring in regional studies with a focus on the Middle East, and I'm planning on writing my book on design practices in the future of technologies.
Great. Next, we'll go to Randy. Are you up for it?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I plan on writing about the intersection of bullying and entrepreneurship, so entrepreneurs who were bullied and how they deal with that chip on their shoulder to help propel them forward.
Cool. Where do you go to school, Randy?
Syracuse University.
Awesome. Thanks. Next, we'll go with Jordan.
Hi guys, my name is Jordan Sanuski. I'm a senior in the college at Georgetown, and I'm writing about the challenges that high-tech businesses face in Russia.
Great. Next, we'll go with Alex.
Yeah, so what's going on, guys? My name's Alex Heidenreich. I'm a sophomore at Cornell University, and I'm thinking about writing my book on like the intersection between fast casual food and kind of the outlook on where fast food is going to go in the future.
Great. And finally, Nina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nina. I'm a sophomore in the MSB at Georgetown, and I'm planning on writing about how photojournalism has evolved with the help of social media, and also how it can have an impact in leading movements around the world.
Great. Now I think we'll go to we'll introduce the people in the room. I'll be kind of like turning my computer. We'll start over here.
Hi guys, I'm Alex. I'm a junior in the SFS studying IPOL, and I'm thinking of writing something about advisors in politics, so people behind the scenes and what they do right in politics to make the people in the front of the scene get elected and do good stuff.
Hi guys, I'm Faris. I'm a sophomore in the SFS studying global business, and I hope to write about the refugees, the intersection between refugees and the art world, and how the communities have sort of developed and linked.
I'm Luca. I'm a sophomore in the MSB, and I want to write my book about basically mentality in sports and how kind of like the Moneyball approach, but more like mentality, how you can undervalue players and value players based on mentality rather than just stats alone. So, yeah, I saw that. Right.
I'm Sierra. I'm a sophomore in the SFS studying IPOL, and I'm doing something a little different. I'm doing a poetry book as opposed to a research book.
Last but not least.
Will, I'm a Georgetown sophomore in the college, studying government, so many people, and I'm like still trying to like narrow down my book topic. It's been a crazy like week, and will be another crazy week. But I want to do something about how like we can make government or politics better, particularly in respect with the concept of the civic imagination, which is loosely defined like the capacity to think about civic problems in new ways.
Great. Feel free. We're gonna have this live session every week, so feel free to come by that. But if you do Zoom, that's great too. We also have a very special guest with us today. Our professor that has volunteered, Eric Custer. I really want to thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Before we get started, Eric?
No, it's been super exciting. I think it's been fun to do chats with all of you guys and see about your topics. And I would say my favorite thing as you guys start to like get into this and start to see more is like you're sort of going to be like a little bit of a mini family. You're going to see each other's books. And so as you get into it, as you can help each other out, like learn about people's topics, share, it's neat. Like we have like 24 authors or 20 something authors that are launching in November. And it's cool to see like they're all helping each other. They're all celebrating each other. And so I think it's cool to see. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So we're going to begin today. Where Eric's got a good old speech for you guys. I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if this works. Yeah, there. I think it will. Okay. No, that did not work. Hold up. I need to. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Oh, yeah, there you go. That'll work. Okay. Do you want to switch spots or do you want to? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I'll just start out sort of for everyone here to say a couple things. I think the first thing to sort of know is this is designed to be really something that all of you will be able to accomplish together, and sort of there'll be moments when you freak out a little bit, like I can't do this, I'm out, I gotta, that sort of stuff. But don't worry, like again, I think one of the neat things that we learned last semester was 25 out of 25 people were approved to publish. And part of that is, I think, because we just try and think of these ways to keep people on pace. But definitely don't freak out. It's designed to sort of be something that we can help one another out. And what I want you guys to know a little bit is, like, I don't want to, like, lecture. So I'm going to try and avoid lecturing much at all. I'll send you guys a video to watch in advance. So please try and watch the video. And then these sessions will be active. Like, we'll be doing something in class. So today we're going to do things like updating your author profile. We're going to be doing things like reaching out to friends, stuff like that. So I'm going to do my best to sort of make sure that it's very active in terms of that, and I'll send stuff in advance along. So yeah, I think the cool part is you keep taking this down, Carson. You guys are going to launch your books June 19 or June 2019, and so I literally called my friend who has a penthouse balcony in New York City. And so he makes amazing martinis and mai tais. So we will be in New York City in June. And but I think, again, I want to set the expectation that we're going to be doing this one. It may be a little bit intimidating. And so as you keep going, I know like writing a couple 100-page book feels a little bit intimidating, but understand that we sort of developed this to be successful along the way. So you can keep going. So don't freak out if you feel like you're freaking out. Please make sure that's what Carson's here for. That's what I'm here for. You've worked with what, like 60 authors now, 70 authors, something like that. And so again, there will be moments when you're like, I'm out. I got to quit. I got to drop this sort of thing. But just know that we're here to help you out. So there's a process behind all of this. A couple things as you keep going, Carson. We're going to give you weekly goals and targets. Now, those are just targets. So if you have a busy week where you're interviewing or something like that, you fall behind, it's okay. That's part of this, is to sort of know where the target is, where you fall, but you can always catch up as part of this, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. all of you should be putting some time on your calendar, whatever works for you. If you want to block off your Saturdays, you want to block off one evening a week, whatever it is, but put that daily time on your calendar. And I think the next thing to know is we're going to do these sessions every week to kind of help you do some of the work. So this week we're going to be starting to book interviews, helping you book interviews and those things, but that's what the sessions are designed to do. So come see each other. It's designed to do a little bit of like guilting everyone into staying on pace too. So I know people are busy, but try not to skip, largely because I think it'll be a good motivator to keep people on pace. And then the coaching. I think one of the things that I think is great about having Carson not only be working on his book, but be here is he'll nudge you. He'll like make sure that you stay kind of active in those sorts of things. And that's what the design of all of this was, to keep everyone sort of actively along the way. So certainly that stuff. But there's 3 big milestones that we want you to keep track of over the next 4 months. Really the first one is kind of getting this smart phase, like where you kind of book interviews, you get some insights in it. The second one is sort of the first glut of just terribly written stories. We want you to get some words on the paper and then get to that manuscript. So the winter break, we want you all to have a first draft manuscript. I'm not expecting you to write War and Peace. I'm not expecting you to do anything great yet, but just getting down on paper will be really the core behind all this stuff. So our goal is between now and January 15th for you to write a mediocre or worse first draft of 25,000 words. Now, when you see that, like 25,000 words is a lot, but I want you to remember these are like first draft stories. So it's not like, I'm not expecting you to have finished these things. You're gonna have plenty of time for editing, but imagine writing 25,000 words of first drafts. It's much, much easier and simpler than you think. And sometimes people will ask me, they're like, hey, I'm falling behind. And my advice to you will be the following: write shittier. I know that sounds funny, but I mean that like you will get like all these schools, Georgetown's no less, freaks you out about how good this stuff has to be. That is not the goal here. The goal is just to get words down, get practice at it, and then you'll have plenty of times to edit it. You'll have a copy editor who'll help all these things. So remember, if you feel like it's taking too long, it's because you're working on the stories too much. So again, remember, it's about kind of lowering everyone's expectation. So here's what we're gonna do tonight. Today, we're gonna kind of focus on 3 things. Number 1, we're gonna help you all sort of update your social profiles as an author. Number 2, we're going to help you start to reach out to some friendlies who you want to interview with. And then we're going to talk about the 5-minute favor. So those are kind of the 3 biggies today. So the first thing, all of you now are authors. And as much as you may think like, well, I haven't written a book yet, I want you to be signaling to those around you that you're an author. And the reason that's important is it's going to help you book your interviews. It's going to help you, in some ways, kind of get stuff like going when people say, is this legit or not? So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to help you sort of craft a story publicly of yourself on your social platforms that shows you're an author. All right? Go ahead and next one. So I want you all to remember that even though you haven't done this yet, you're going to signal to your networks on social that you are a legit author. And the reason is when you do this, it will help you when you reach out to people to book interviews. That's the core part of this one. And so there's a couple core things that will make you legit. Number 1, it's having a working title for your book. Your title very much may change. I've only had like 3 authors who this title they started with today is something that they actually kept all the way through the process. So having a title, having a publisher, which is your publisher's New Degree Press, and having a publication date. Those 3 things will help you sort of be deemed to be a serious author. Those are the 3 things. So I want all of you to pull out your laptops if you haven't, and go ahead and update some combination of Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook with the following in your bio: working title of your book, and then expected publication June 2019, and the publisher is New Degree Press somehow. And then the next one real quick, also on LinkedIn, do the same. And so this one you'll add as a sort of new job that you'll list in LinkedIn, and you'll add it as you sort of work for New Degree Press, which is your publisher. The job title is author, and then the working title, expected publication.
If you guys have any questions here or on Zoom.
That was it.
What if we don't have a working title yet? Some people, or like students,
Yeah, I try and pick something this week, in the next few days. So don't stress about the title being perfect, but try and do something that generally points the direction of it. Someone asked last night about, anything about titles or non-titles, like what to avoid. I think just try not to be offensive with your title, and I think you'll be fine. So the more you can be descriptive, the better, so that people have an indication of where it's headed. But my advice to you, at a minimum, I would add, if you use Twitter, I would add this to Twitter, and I would add this to LinkedIn at a minimum. You can decide to change other things, but again, the reason for this really is that what's going to happen over the next week as you start to reach out to people is they're going to look you up. The very first thing they're going to do when you reach out to someone to say, hey, should I do an interview with this person for their book? They're going to want to see, how serious are they? Is this just some sort of like fly-by-night idea? And if you have those things, they'll realize that you're serious about this one. Yeah, at New Degree Press in the handle. Should be on all those ones. And then in LinkedIn, just New Degree Press. I think it's the only one of it. That's the goal. These are designed for just that. One other thing that people ask a little bit about is, should I like broadcast this yet to my family and friends on social media? I'll actually give Carson a template to post on sort of LinkedIn and to Twitter or whatever it is, kind of asking for help on interviews. So one of the things this week I'd recommend is you sort of share this on sort of social media and say, hey, listen, I'm looking to interview people who, might be the intersection of food and this or whatever it may be. I'm looking to people who work at whatever it may be. So that'll be one of the things that we'll do as well this week. I saw Carson updated his LinkedIn today. So, Jet.
It's going good. Unless anybody like interject, I think we'll start to move on.
Yeah, just make a goal this week to get all these upgraded. And again, part of it is what you're going to start doing this week is reaching out to folks as you sort of roll. So that'll be important on that front. All right, so we're going to talk first about sort of what we call friendlies. And friendlies are people that are in your network or sort of one or two degrees of separation from you already that you can easily ask for an interview. And really the core of a book is sort of made up of two big parts. It's about 80% driven by stories, and you're going to learn how to become a really much better storyteller through this process. And 20% what we call contribution. Yours will be a little different, don't worry. But the contribution is sort of what do you teach people sort of about it. But a lot of this is stories that illustrate sorts of things. So we're going to talk this over the next 3 weeks really about giving you through a process to book interviews to make your book very rich and robust. So the first kind we're going to talk about is friendlies. So there's three main types of people that you're going to find in your book. One is famous people. So famous people are kind of like names that you may have heard of, like Elon Musk or Martha Stewart. You don't need to know anything more than that. Those are going to be hard for you to interview, but we're going to teach you sort of a cool way that you can include them in your book for what we call a secondary interview. So that's one type. The second one is what we call a notable person in a famous organization. So let's just say, so your book is on political advisors, right? So maybe that, for example, you want to talk about like what's an organization that is this important to you? Perfect, the DNC, right? So even having someone who's just a staffer at the DNC, being able to say someone who's, even if they're junior at the DNC is important. So finding people that happen to work at organizations you care about is sort of the second type, the notable person, or sort of a notable person at the right organizations you want. And the last one, perhaps the one that I think people oftentimes miss, is people you already know. Right? You already have people who can contribute a lot of those things. So that's what we're going to start with first. Now, the first thing that I would share with you is the process of actually engaging with these people is going to be pretty straightforward. But I advise you to put all these sorts of names that you have in your interview dashboard. Just keep track of them, because the idea is over the course of this sort of 4 months together, you're going to be adding people as you go. So you want to keep track of them, put them in there, and track things like follow-ups, outreach, and those sorts of things. So the second thing that we're going to talk about is how you sort of find the people that you already know. So the first thing that I would share is you already probably have some connections to people that you may be surprised of. Someone that, that is a Georgetown student that interned somewhere that you're like, oh gosh, like I have a friend who interned at the DNC that you may want. So my advice is sort of to check out your network already and see that people who might be on LinkedIn, where they were working at, find people that you're friends with on Twitter, you're connected with, or on Facebook, and see where they're connected. Now, the core thing that I would share with you about reaching out to these people that are friendlies is you should be reaching out to them with the following way. You should, number one, if you can send them a text message, you should send them a text message. Hey, I'm working on a book. Could I just talk to you for a little bit about it? And again, that's all that you really need to do. Make sure you don't schedule the interview until next Tuesday, right? So that we can talk next week about how to do a good interview, but just reach out with a text message. If you don't have their phone number to text them, number two, then send them a Facebook Messenger or a Twitter DM or some kind of a Instagram DM in that way. And third, in the case that you don't have one of those messenger ways to message them, then send them an email. But the best thing to do is, like, if you're friendly enough with them that you can text them or engage with them, do that. So we're going to spend the next 10 minutes, and you are going to send out 5 messages to people that you would love to interview. Just look through your network and find them. But again, people you've texted, these could be family members, cousins, uncles, brothers, send them a message saying, hey, I'm working on a book, can I interview you for it? That's it. You don't have to do too much more than that one. But again, when you schedule it, wait until next Tuesday, because next week we're going to talk about how to actually do really good at this.
Yeah. We'll give a few more minutes for that. Any questions or anything? Sure. All right, cool. Yeah,
I apologize. I didn't know that. I was wondering if I have like someone who's caught from the local people and famous organizations that people I already know, should I reach out to them next?
Absolutely. Yeah, anyone you already know. I would put that bucket of broadly anyone you already know. Again, our goal for this entire thing over the first sort of next 3 weeks is all of you should have scheduled. The goal is to get all of you to schedule at least 10 interviews. You'll do more over time, but every week we're going to be focusing on activities that will do that one. This week's going to talk about friendlies, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to start to get a few more people outside of your network, but we're going to start with friendlies. So anyone you already know with a relationship that you feel comfortable to email with just an ask of that detail. You don't have to add much more about what your book's about, but just they would say, happy to do an interview with you because I like you. That's what I would start with. Well, so like last semester, Jack, for example, he got a friend of his happens to be a comedian with over like 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And so he reached out and said like, hey, can I interview? He's like, yeah, for sure. So. There we go.
That's cool.
And again, don't worry if they're particularly famous or they're a particularly big name. Even if, again, there's someone who's a classmate of yours who happens to have worked at a notable organization you care about, or even just someone who's tangentially interesting. Some of your first interviews are going to be mostly about practicing the art of interviewing. So don't feel like, oh gosh, like this is someone who's a college student that can't possibly add value. You'll be surprised. And the other thing to know is that I'll be going through my network this week and sharing all of you a set of people that I know that I think you could interview as well. So Carson's going to get all your update rooms set up this week, where you'll kind of be able to have like kind of a group chat with Carson and I and anyone else. But I'll give each of you some folks that I think could be helpful for you. Yeah, so you can, if you want to ask them some questions early at this point, but the first time that you'll be really sitting down with them is once you sort of like 2 weeks from now, as you start to get your interviews booked, or sort of 3 weeks from now as you get your interviews booked, to sort of sit down with them and say, hey, listen, this is what I know now. This is sort of the direction that I think I'm running. So you'll sort of meet with them 3 times. Once right after you do this, sort of the next 3 weeks of kind of interviewing and reaching out. The second time is about midway through your sort of story writing, so about like 4 weeks later than that. And the last time is sort of 4 weeks after you have your sort of that, where you've sort of written a bunch of stories and you're starting to structure the book. So we'll give you Carson, I think, will post the week that you should be setting time with them, and then you'll be sitting down with them. Now you can decide to meet with them earlier if you think they could help you find people to interview, but again, certainly don't have to. Maybe you pull up so they can see pictures. There you go. I'm gonna leave it so they can see faces. It kind of not so lonely for them. It feels like. Yeah, I guess it's true. Yeah, though they can see you at least. All right, why don't we keep going? So again, my advice to you is this week, really spend time focusing on people you already know, spend some time digging into LinkedIn, find people that you sort of know, because you will be surprised at how many you know. And again, Carson's gonna post a note for you, a template for you to share on your social media platforms. You'll be amazed when you post this out at who comes out of the woodwork that might be able to help you more specific you are. So that'll be one of the things that you'll do this week. Again, to kind of tap into your network of people that you're surprised that you already didn't know you already knew. All right, so the second part of people that we're going to be interviewing and trying to connect with is non-friendlies. These are people, well, it's not that they're not friendly, but you don't know them yet, right? Like, and you want to get to know them. So if you want to take me to the next one. So typically these are, again, people that are maybe big, sort of big names that you want to get access to, or maybe they're people who are at notable organizations, wherever that may be. But we're going to talk a little bit about how to get access to them. So where do you find these people? Well, some of them you're going to find when you just dig around on LinkedIn. Hunt for people that are interesting to you there. And again, add them to your interview dashboard. The second place is if you're looking for someone who's in the startup space. And again, you'll be surprised. Like there's probably people that have this in politics that do politicky type startups. Startup founders are very, very game to talk to you. So go on AngelList, find anything that's relevant, and find people there as you start to find more people you want to engage with. Second thing is like, find people who gave really interesting TED Talks or gave YouTubes. You'll be really amazed when you reach out to people and say, hey, I really loved your TED Talk that I interviewed for your book I've written. They might be really game to do it. Find people who gave interesting talks on YouTube. Also just Google, right? Find people who are interesting and just add them to the list. If they have a public persona at all, they very well might be. And the last one I would say is look around for people that kind of are niche experts in one way or another. So people that kind of have that, like, if you're looking in a particular field, find the way that they may be in that field somehow or another. So, the art world, right, has a very niche world to it. Like hunt around for people who are experts in that field, but may be there. So again, keep adding to your list. I think that's really the core thing to do as you keep hunting, and know that this list is going to continue to grow. We're going to try and make sure that you've reached out to 40 people at least over the next couple of weeks. So you've done your outreach on that regard. But as you find other people, keep reaching out to them and keep engaging with them along the way. All right, so now how do you get these people to actually get back to you? So the first thing I want to say is don't just cold outreach to people because it doesn't work particularly well, right? It's not a very effective way. And here's part of the reason why. The psychology of the cold outreach is that suddenly someone's making me do work. So if Carson were to send me an email and say, hey, Eric, I'd like to do an interview with you, it's like, all right, I got to do work, right? And I like Carson, but it's like he's making me do work, and I feel a little bit like, whatever, I'll just punt on it. Now, we're going to play on a real element of psychology that is going to basically use the guilt trip. All right, so we're going to use this effectively in that way with something called the 5-minute paper. So I'll tell you a very quick story about how this sort of works in an interesting way. So there's a guy named Chris Voss, and Chris is an entrepreneur. He's also the world's most, he's had the most hostage negotiations in history. He's in 150 armed hostage negotiations with the FBI. So now he basically is an instructor and teacher and teaches about negotiations. He has a Wall Street Journal bestseller called Never Split the Difference. And so I talked to Chris a while ago and I said, and we got connected through someone mutual and got together. And I said, Chris, I got a question for you. You're sort of like a famous big deal dude. How would someone who's like a student, like an undergraduate student, get your attention? How would they get your attention? And he said, you know what, Eric, it's really funny. I probably get asked for a favor or to do a call or something like that, probably like 8 times a day. But you know what? If someone does something really simple for me, and that is if someone goes out and goes on Amazon and leaves a review of my book and then tells me they did it, I'll probably do a call with them almost every time. And I was like, you know that like takes like 2 minutes to leave a book review for you, right? He's like, I know, but for something about it, I feel like that. And so we're going to leverage that to help you. And that is that people feel guilty if you first do them a favor that they want to help you out in the reverse. So we're going to do the same thing called the 5-minute favor. And the 5-minute favor is just that. You're going to do these short little tiny favors for people that you want to connect with publicly and basically guilt them into helping you. And so the first step in this one is to find these people and connect with them on social media. So connect with them on Twitter, connect with them on Instagram. Those are probably the 2 best channels that you're going to find for these people. So whoever you want to connect with, start there. The second step in this one is, again, whether you wait a few days or not, hopefully these are some people you might already be connected with. You're going to do something nice for them publicly. What I mean by that is things that are very, very simple. You're going to do things like review their book. You might review their podcast. If they have a cause that they're promoting, like let's just say they donate to something or whatever it is, or they have some content that's out there, you're going to share it in that way. You're going to do something simple for them. So let's just say that Chris was someone you wanted to interview. You would basically leave a book review for him on Amazon. And then what you do is go on Twitter and share it. And you'd say, I just wanted to say, I love this book, Never Split the Difference. Even if you haven't read it, right? If you've read the introductory chapter and you basically, on the Amazon, sort of read inside, you could do that and basically leave something public. That's what you're going to do, whatever that thing may be. That's the 5-minute favor. And then what you're going to do next is once you kind of have done that, you're going to then connect with them either over email or LinkedIn. So if it's Chris, you're going to try and find his email and send him an email, and then also connect on LinkedIn. Hey, recently read your book, loved it, just left you a review on Amazon, would love to connect. You're not going to ask for anything yet, but you're going to wait for them to connect back with you and say, awesome, thanks a lot, really great to meet you, or whatever it is. And then when they acknowledge you, you're going to make your ask. That's what you're going to do. So that's the magic of the 5-minute favor. You're going to play on the psychology of guilt. That is, if someone does you a favor, about 75% of people will sort of feel obliged to do a favor back if they've done a favor for them first. So what happens is if you just ask people first, only about 1 in 4 people psychologically will say, yeah, I guess I'll just do something nice for this person. But 75% of people, 3 out of 4, will do something for you. So that's what we're going to do. And the other thing to know is that's why we're updating your social profile. So when they look you up, they're going to see that you have a publisher sort of thing behind it. So what I want you guys to do now over the next few minutes is find a way to do 2 or 3 5-minute favors. Find someone that you like, find an author, a podcast host, someone who's written a blog post that you like, whatever it was, and just do something nice for them. Go on social media and just do something nice where you say, I want to share this content with my friends. I want to rate their book and tell people about it. Just do 3 5-minute favors, and that's what we're supposed to do. So spend the next 3 or 4 minutes, try and do 1 or 2 5-minute favors. By the end of the day today, you should try and do 3 5-minute favors. Yeah.
If you have any questions,
It's a funny thing too. I will tell you, I get asked a lot of times to do certain things, and that simple act of doing something that sort of like, it just makes you feel good. Like, oh gosh, this person's really on my side. So it's really, really simple, but I would tell you, don't make a cold ask. It's like not even a 5-minute favor. It's like a 30-second favor oftentimes. Just doing that will change the whole dynamic. And one of the authors publishing tomorrow, Clara, she reached out to 40 people over a 2-week period and did 5-minute favors, and 26 of them got back to her being willing to interview her with their book. And it's not like she went for easy ask. One of the people of the 40 was Mark Zuckerberg. He did not get back to her, but still, 26 of the 40 people got back to her. Mark Zuckerberg was one of the 14, but it wasn't like she was going for easy layups. These are real legit people.
Yeah.
You're going to get in the habit of this over the next 2 weeks in particular. So your goal is going to be to do 40 5-minute favors over the next 2 weeks. And part of the reason that we're going to try and really do this is you'll find that just doing this up front will pay dividends over the next few months. It's remarkable what will happen. You'll just be surprised at how many more retweets you get, how many people like your posts, and all these sorts of things. So just be prepared that we're going to keep doing this. We'll do 20 more this week by Friday, and then I want you to do, then next week we'll do another 20. So we're going to continue. Carson's having some trouble. But we're going to do a total of 40 over the next 2 weeks of 5-minute favors. And then we're going to send kind of like email and LinkedIn follow-ups for the next sort of 2 weeks after that. So all you need to do this week is these 25-minute favors. So try and do 3 now over the next few minutes. And then we'll do another sort of, again, by Friday, I want you to try and do 20. Just spend like 30 minutes just being nice, right? Like it's sort of a funny thing. Like we just don't, like just be nice to people. Like, and again, you don't have to have read their whole book. Read a few of it. Like read a few pages of the thing. You don't have to listen to their whole podcast. And I know people do this because I just released a podcast recently, and like I had 10,000 people like watch this video trailer, and only like 150 downloaded the first episode. So like I know that all these people who are saying nice things are definitely not not listening to it. So don't like let that stress you out. Just like, you know, if you find someone you want to do, say something nice, find a piece of their content and share it publicly. Make sure you sort of tag them in it so they know, talk about their cause, talk about their whatever thing that they've done. Just do those sorts of things and it makes people feel good. You can do it on LinkedIn. You can do it on Twitter. Those are probably the 2 best places to do it if you were.
You're going to be doing a lot more. We're going to be doing a lot for the next couple of weeks. I'll go back one more.
Yeah, everyone's going to feel really good for the next 2 weeks because it's just going to be like, what can I do nice for someone today? That's really the whole goal. It's like, what can I just do nice? It's sort of weird that we have to like actually think about this out loud, but it's hyper powerful. And if you want to know a little bit more about this, there's a really good TED Talk by Adam Grant called he has a book called Give and Take. But the power of generosity is amazing. And you'll find that when you're just a little bit like proactive and being helpful, people will want to do you a favor back. So you all are being helpful. You're being very generous, but you're also, you know, you're going to reap the rewards of this generosity when people want to interview with you for your book. So I'll wrap up my last pieces here, Carson, as we do it. So again, the goal of these sessions every week that we're together is at a minimum. I understand people are busy or whatever it is. Try and just come to this session because we're going to get shit done every week. Like we're going to keep you marching forward. Even if you can't get as much done as you want, 1 hour together is going to keep you on pace. And so come, again, watch the video content in beforehand, but come and just do this sort of stuff. So at a minimum, you got some outreaches done, spend some time, do a little bit more. It's not a ton of time you'll find, but it's the more you're just sort of like really crisp on doing these things, the better. As I said, set some time aside, while you're sitting there not paying attention into a class this week. Sure, that won't happen. But if you do, just post things on social media that are helpful to someone else. And then next week, what we'll do in our session is we'll actually reach out to those people and with the email or on LinkedIn and basically connect with them. I'll tell a couple of quick stories really quickly. There was a young woman who got to interview one of the Winklevoss twins through this exact process. She literally did something nice for him and then reached out to him on LinkedIn, and he connected back with her and said, yeah, I guess I'd be happy to do an interview, which is, he's a billionaire, right? Like that's kind of awesome to have that happen, but it happened from this exact process. And so over the next 3 weeks, that's really what we're going to be doing. If someone gets back to you and says hey, yeah, can I help you or whatever it is, feel free if someone connects with you that you do want to kind of take the conversation forward to say, hey, I'm working on this book. Could I do an interview with you or whatever it may be? And remember, don't book interviews for any of the friendlies you have, any of those sorts of things until next week. So the goal this week really is try and get 3 people in your network to agree to an interview, 3 people that you're friendly with. Try and get your 25-minute favors done. And then we'll kind of, keep that thing, feel free to get ahead of the game on these sorts of things, but try and get 3 people on that front and keep marching forward. So that's sort of all that I got here today. I think, again, if you have questions or whatever it is along the way, let me know. My goal this week is once Carson gets your update rooms up, I will get you some people in my network. And we're going to try every week to keep people in and out in under 50 minutes. So come, use the time, and then, set aside the rest of the time during the week, and we'll keep rocking. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions for Eric? I'm gonna finish up the session here. Any questions for him? Anyone on the Zoom chat? No? Okay, great. Well, so I just have a couple of things I should say for before we go. Thank you again to Eric for coming. It's always great to have him talk to us. It's always, I'm really excited for this process. It always gets me really fired up. I hope you guys are too. Another thing I wanted to talk about is that, as many of you may be seeing, this is a big workload, and we really don't want you to start to feel the pressure and then decide to flake out. So if you're having any concerns, please talk to me. Please, I'll be your first point of reference. I promise, I'll help you out. I'll help you ease your concerns. I'll help you get over the finish line. That's my sole job right now, along with writing, but to make sure all you guys do too. Yeah, I know, but I got to make sure that you guys do well, because as Eric was saying, my success is your success, and I was able to get 100% of authors last semester, and I have to do it again. So yeah, so anything, please just, some people did from the last night's session already. If you have any concerns or anything, please just call me or quit messaging me. I hope you guys all know how to do that. Last thing about that, Brian wanted me to bring up the meeting. Make sure you have the Quip app downloaded with your notifications on. That's really important. And the last thing is, yeah, just I'll be sending out sometime later this week. You'll be getting your updates for rooms. I'll also be sending out the videos to watch for next session. Yeah, just if you have any questions, please come to me. I respond pretty quickly. So yeah, anything before we go? Yeah. June. Yeah. I was like, oh, November. I was like, well. Yeah.
These key 3 milestones that we really tack towards. Yeah, but the goal is
Awesome. Well, I'm going to end the meeting now. Thanks, guys, for coming. Yeah, have a good rest of your week.